Hi, welcome. So, there are times you want to run your code and you suspect you might get errors, and then you don't want your code to break completely and everything else should stop. So, these are moments you would want to use something like the try and except in Python. So, if you're an Excel user, this will be similar to if error, or if you're a JavaScript user, this will be similar to try catch. So actually, you just want the program to try something. And then if there's an error, you should just do an exception and continue running the code. Your code should not just break completely and everything stops. So let's just go straight to the computer and see how to use try and except in your code. So we are here now, and we are just going to create a simple function. So the function will just help us to be able to do some basic calculation, like just tell you your speed. So let's just say here are the inputs: distance covered. So you have your distance covered equal to, let's just say 100 or so, and then the time it takes. We can just request an input from the user and say, can you provide us, please tell us the time you took to get to arrive, so we can be able to calculate your average speed. So time taken, then we say it's good to wrap this as an integer, so that we are having we cast it to an integer. And then now we can just say, for example, speed is equal to distance covered. Yes, distance covered. So remember your formula for speed: distance covered divided by time. So now we just want to print this out. So we could have still created this like a function, but then we just want to stay basic so that you understand the concepts one by one, not to just mix them up in your head. So just look at it as a simple some simple steps that we want to follow. So we are trying to say, here is the distance we know you are going to cover to arrive at your destination. So what we need from you is to provide us the time it took for you to get there. And then we are going to get this formula to say speed, distance covered divided by time. And then we are going to print out your speed, calculate your speed for you. So we're going to take maybe this 100,000 divided by, let's say it took you 10 or 15 hours or 20 hours to get there, then we'll get your speed here. So let us run this now and see. So when we run this, it requests how many hours did it take you to get there. So let me just put 10 hours, and then when I press enter, it calculates for me your speed is 10,000. So that is okay. Now let us look at the case now where we have this same formula here, and then when it requests for me to enter my speed, for some reason I enter letters. I enter something like A, B, or Z. That is not a number. And you can't divide maybe 100,000 divided by A or B. So it's going to throw an error. And then we are now going to use try and except to try to capture that error and let the code continue running. So let's do that. Let's run it. And then we type something like maybe, I don't know, anything there. So we get an error, and the error says invalid literal in for that. But the key thing we should note here is that we get a value error. So we've entered the wrong value type. It was expecting an integer, and then we instead entered a string. So it became confused of how to do that division. So now let us use try and except to be able to solve this problem. So if I copy this code just to save the typing, and then I'll adjust now I'll adjust it here. So the first thing you'd want to do is to run a try, just like your if try. Then you press enter, and if you see, the space has to be 4 characters. So I have to do the same here because all of them are under the try block. Try, I have to do a tap. So I'm pressing tap, I'm pressing tap. So try all of this. And I know if I enter letters, I'm going to get an error. So except now you print you entered an invalid valid time value. Okay, now let's run this. Enter again our letters, any letter. Now it doesn't break like this before. It just informs us that you entered an invalid time value. So you can maybe take this information and then you know what to do with it. But the rest of the code would continue running. It wouldn't just break the code and everything below these lines would just stop working. Now, let us go to the next level now. What if I entered a 0 here instead of a letter? So let us get this our thing again. Copy it to save time. Paste it here. Then we are going to enter a 0 when it asks. So we're going to enter a 0. Now, when we enter this, what do we get? We get a new error, which is called a 0 division error. So it is saying the problem is that we can't divide by 0. It's infinity. So we've seen two errors. There is a value error when we try to enter the string, this string, and then there is the 0 division error when we try to enter a 0 value. So you would need to be able to capture these errors very specific so that you can in your code include each message when you encounter each of these situations, so that you don't just give a broad message because each situation is different, and capturing the error exactly as it is best practice. So let us now use try and except to fix this, to capture these two possibilities so that our code is more robust. So again, we are going to copy this, copy, paste here. Now start with the try, enter, the space is here, so just want to, down here. Then we do the tab, so those 4 characters away, tab, still print your speed is. But now there are 2 errors that we've noticed. The first one is the value error. So we are going to say except if you come across the value error. So we can as well just be sure that we are typing the same thing. We copy this error and then we paste here. So if you come across the value error, which we know is because you entered a different value type, we are going to say print now, give what is the output to the user. So we say, please, let me just type this, please enter an integer value. Now that is one error scenario. There could also be a second error scenario. So you say except, now we go again here, we copy this error exactly as it is, 0 division error, we paste it here. Then we say if this occurs, remember to put the column space, then we say print, please enter a number above 0. So now when we run this, if we enter say 8 hours, we get the speed. If we run this, we enter say anything there, we get please enter an integer value. And if we run this, we enter 0, we get please enter a number above 0. So you've used try and except to be able to capture all the different possible errors that you can get and be able to give the right information or output or prompt the user to the next thing that the user has to do. So you're able to know what is the source of the error in my code. So there are very important concepts behind this, like finally, there are so many things that this try except can do. But this introduction should be able to help you start using try except to catch errors in your code. So I hope you've been able to learn how to use the try and except in Python, and see you next video. Wish you good data luck.